So these guys reached out to me and they showed me these pens. Look at this thing. Made out of metal, it's kind of heavy, that's how you know it's quality. If you want to buy this pen, you can in the description. It's pretty sick, okay? Throw it on a hat, throw it on a jacket, whatever. Or if you want to, leave a comment, suggest a design, okay? It's literally just like me and these two guys that make these things, and they haven't really talked to anybody else, I guess because I'm such a likable guy. So I'm assuming my word carries a lot of weight. So if you guys have design suggestions you want to see turned into a pen so you can buy it, let me know. I'll throw in a good word for you. Ow, shitballs. Ah, damn. Oh, I'm bleeding. Where's it coming from? I promise, that was literally just me being dumb. Okay, let's get to it. Today, we're talking about a common misconception people have when it comes to spreads, both credit spreads and debit spreads, and we can find out if you have this misconception through one easy question. You ready? If you buy a debit spread, call spread, put spread, doesn't matter. If you buy a debit spread, are you long or short volatility? In other words, do you make money or lose money as implied volatility goes up? Wrong. Well, you actually might be right. I have no idea. It depends. It depends on whichever leg is closer to at the money. At the money options, where the strike is pretty close to the current share price, at the money options have the highest extrinsic value. Extrinsic value is a portion of premium, the portion of the price tag given to an option based on two things working together. One, the amount of time until expiration, and two, implied volatility. Why? Well, it's because at-the-money options are uncertain. Their fate is very much up in the air. Are they going to end up out of the money? Are they going to end up in the money? Who knows? Well, there's two factors that decide or help contribute to whether or not they're going to end up in the money or out of the money, and that is how much time we have until expiration and volatility. And those two things working together to get that option in the money, which is the option's goal before expiration. So there's a lot of extra weight given to time to maturity or time to expiration and implied volatility for at-the-money options, meaning they have higher extrinsic value. This also means that at-the-money options have a higher Vega. Vega is highest at the money, and as you get away from the money in both directions, Vega decreases. That means when you look at a spread, if you are looking at a debit call spread, for example, could be a credit call spread, doesn't really matter. If your long call option is closer to being at the money than your short call, that means that your long call has a higher positive Vega than the smaller negative Vega of your short call. So overall, your position has a positive Vega. You are long volatility. The exact opposite is true. If the stock price moves around and your short call becomes closer to at the money, well, it's going to have now a larger negative Vega than the positive Vega of your long call. Your overall Vega for the position is short or negative, so you're short volatility. Of course, if you have a really tight spread, like 1 point wide, your exposure to volatility is pretty minimal. And we'll get into that in just a second. But let me explain a little bit further on the screen. I'll stop gesturing wildly at nothing because I'm sure that doesn't really help those people who are visual learners. What we're looking at here is an options chain from TD Ameritrade. Okay, it looks like a gobbledygook pile of disgusting numbers, but I promise it's not that hard to understand. We're not looking at this column. We're not looking at this column. We're not looking at this column. We're looking at this one. These are the strikes of the options. And we're looking at this column, which is Vega. Where the purple rows and the black rows meet is at the money. Right here. So if we follow it over, all the way over to the strikes, we know that the stock price, or in this case, the ETF's price, is somewhere between 390 and 391. Okay, so this is at the money. Let's take a look at the Vega of at the money options. It's at 0.44. And notice as you get more in the money, it's kind of confusing because strikes go down as you go up, a little bit backwards. But as you get further in the money, you can see that the Vega decreases all the way down to 0.27 at the lowest strike shown. And as you get further out of the money, same thing. Vega decreases. So at the money options have the highest Vega. Okay, so let's hypothetically open a debit spread here. It could be a credit spread. It doesn't really matter. But let's open a debit spread or pretend that one is already open. We're going to buy the 380 call, and we're going to sell the 390 call. Okay, and we're interested in what the Vegas are of these options. So let's follow this one all the way over. And we'll follow this one all the way over. Okay, so for our long call option, we're going to have a positive 0.38 Vega. Okay. And for our short leg, it's going to have a negative 0.44 Vega. Overall, meaning that our Vega for the spread is going to be negative 0.06. And this is because our short leg is closer to at the money. Because at the money options have the highest Vega, they determine whether or not your spread is long or short volatility. But if your spread is equidistant around at the money, so like if we instead sell the 400 strike call, well, if we follow that over, It's going to have a very similar Vega to our long call because they're both basically the same distance away from being at the money. So they're going to have roughly the same Vega. But things change. If things go in your favor and the stock price rises, your entire spread, this entire spread is going to shift upwards. It's going to become in the money. And as it becomes in the money, your short leg is going to be closer. This one is going to be closer to being at the money. And now you're going to be short volatility. Okay, so it changes as the stock price moves around and as it pushes one leg closer to at the money or one leg further away from the money. And what's kind of incredibly interesting is even though maybe right now, let's say your short leg is closer to at the money and implied volatility is rising, that's not good because you're short Vega and implied volatility is rising. So your spread is losing money through Vega, maybe not through Delta, but through Vega it definitely is. So you could be losing money as implied volatility rises for a month. But then if all of a sudden the stock price pushes your long leg closer to being at the money, that whole time that implied volatility was increasing, now almost like retroactively positively impacts your spread. It's not just the time while your short leg is closer to at the money that matters. It's whenever you close the spread. If you close the spread when your long leg's closer to at the money, you better hope that implied volatility has increased since you opened that spread. And vice versa. If the short leg is closer to at the money when you want to close it, you better hope that implied volatility has decreased. So it kind of works retroactively. It doesn't work while the leg is closer to at the money. It's not really like that. It's not necessarily thought of in that way. Okay, if you have a short leg that's closer to at the money, yes, you'll be making money as implied volatility decreases. But if all of a sudden your long leg becomes closer at the money, the whole decrease in implied volatility thing now has negatively impacted your trade. So it's most important that implied volatility moves in the right direction for whenever you want to close the trade. So it's kind of tricky in that way. But if you're hoping with a debit spread that with a call debit spread that the stock price rises, that means ultimately your short leg is actually going to end up closer to at the money because your spread's going to become in the money, right? Long leg down here, short leg up here. It gets pushed in the money as the stock price rises. That means that your short leg, the top one, is closer to being at the money. You are short volatility. So you better hope that implied volatility has gone down if you want an extra edge, if you want to make a few extra bucks. So really, when debit spreads go in your favor, you kind of hope that implied volatility goes down. With credit spreads, it's usually a little different because you're selling a credit spread that's out of the money typically, and that means your short leg's going to be closer to at the money. So that means that you are short volatility. Now, if your credit spread becomes in the money, now your long leg's closer to at the money, you're going to be long volatility. But in that case, you've basically just lost the spread anyway. It's a losing trade. You should get out or try to roll it or whatever. So really, the only time you're long volatility with the spread is maybe right when you open it, or if things are going against you really bad. Or if you bought an out-of-the-money debit spread, then your long leg's closer to at the money for quite a while before it gets in the money if things are really going in your favor. But if things are going that well, you really don't care too much about what implied volatility is doing. So whichever leg is closer to at the money determines whether or not you're long or short volatility. And what really matters is when you close the trade, what has happened to implied volatility and which leg is closer to being at the money. Holy shit balls. I think it was trying to crawl up my throat for like an hour. Oh yeah, this whole idea applies to Theta too, because extrinsic value is highest at the money. That means that at the money options have the highest Theta. Extrinsic value has to go to 0 by expiration because there's no time left. That means there's no extrinsic value left because there's no time for volatility to take effect. So, extrinsic value decays to 0 by expiration. And if extrinsic value is higher with at the money options, that means that the rate of decay has to be faster in order to reach 0 by expiration than, say, a deep in the money or a deep out of the money option. So whichever leg is closer to at the money also determines whether or not you have positive or negative Theta. If your long leg's closer to at the money, you're paying to play every day. If your short leg's closer to at the money, you are making money as each day passes. But what really matters is whichever leg ends up closer to being at the money when you decide to close the spread. Let me show you what I mean. It's on options profit calculator really quick. All right, here's a call debit spread. Same idea, same stuff we were kind of looking at. What happens if your spread is in the money? Well, if your spread's in the money, that means that your short leg is going to be closer to at the money, right? If you have a couple calls right here and the stock price rises, it's pushing that entire spread in the money. And this short leg, the top one, is closer to being at the money. You're short Vega and you have a positive Theta because a positive Theta is greater than the negative Theta of your long leg. Okay, so let's look at what happens when we're in the money. Look here, we'll go to 410 right off the rip. First day we're in the money. We made $679. Let's follow it sideways as time passes. Oh, look, we're making money. $700, $735, $700. We're making money the entire time. But what happens if suddenly the stock price drops and pushes our entire spread out of the money? Woo, we go all the way down here. Let's say we've lost $551. Well, look, it's worse than just losing because the stock price changed. We've actually sort of vicariously experienced all that time decay as if our spread had been out of the money the entire time. Look, if we go backwards in time, you can see that our loss shrinks. So as we go back in time, if our spread's out of the money, our losses shrink. Because when our spread's out of the money, our long leg is closer to at the money, our theta is higher, it's decaying as time passes. But if we pop up really quick, now we've incurred all the positive effects of the positive theta as if we've been holding it in the money the entire time. See, if we go backwards, our profit shrinks. Do you see what I'm saying to you? It doesn't matter what is happening right now. It doesn't matter what leg is at the money, closer to at the money, whether you're long or short volatility, whether you have a positive or negative theta. What matters is when things go your way or when you're going to close the trade, which leg is closer to at the money. If it's your long leg, you can pretend you've had a negative theta the entire time, even though maybe your short leg for a while was closer to at the money. It doesn't matter. It only matters what is happening right now. Long leg's closer to at the money, you have a negative theta. It's as if you've been holding that spread with a negative theta the entire time, even if at points it didn't show a negative theta. What about Vega? If your long leg's closer to at the money, you're long volatility. If you're planning on closing the spread right now, and any increase in implied volatility in the past positively impacts the trade right now. It's as if you've been holding this trade, the spread, the entire time while implied volatility was increasing, even if in reality in the past you were actually holding it while implied volatility was increasing, while your short leg was closer to at the money and it was showing you were losing money through Vega. It doesn't matter back then. It matters where it ends up. Does that make a lick of sense? By the way, bros, you don't have to do it on the computer like this. There's actually an app called Options Profit Calculator on the App Store. It might be in Google Play. I'm not entirely sure. I'll put a link to it down below. I really encourage you to check it out because it's this exact thing, but you can do it on mobile. It's super handy, so check it out. I hope that makes sense. Okay, this is kind of a mind-bending topic sometimes. Whatever. I hope it benefits you because it is important to understand the impacts of Vega and Theta on your trade, and that what is happening right now may not even matter because where it ends up is what really, really matters. Buy this pen down below, all right? Your boy's all sweaty. He's getting worked up. Buy this pen, free stocks and stuff down below. Check out Atom Finance. Okay, sounds like my name, but it's like Atom as in the shit we're made up of. It's a great way to keep track of your portfolio and see news in the markets and all sorts of stuff. I'm done. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I love you. Bye-bye.